Welcome to Dynamic Drop, where darkness descends and nightmares come alive. Brace yourself for chilling tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let the horror begin. After the encounter with the Silent Watcher, I felt a strange mixture of relief and unease. The fear that had shadowed my life seemed to dissipate, replaced by a quiet curiosity. I began to wonder what other secrets the world held, and what other forces might be at play beyond the realm of human understanding. Despite the calm that had settled over me, I couldn't shake the feeling that my journey with the Watcher wasn't over. The questions it had left in its wake gnawed at me. Why had it chosen me? What dark forces had marked me in the first place? My grandmother's words echoed in my mind, hinting at deeper truths I had yet to uncover. Determined to find answers, I delved into research, seeking knowledge about the supernatural, the demon world, and the entities that might inhabit it. I scoured ancient texts, folklore, and even sought out people who claimed to have experiences similar to mine. Most of them were charlatans, but a few seemed genuine, their stories echoing the same undercurrent of fear and fascination that I felt. During my research, I stumbled upon a peculiar book titled The Veil Between Worlds. It was an old, weathered tome filled with cryptic symbols and esoteric knowledge. One passage in particular caught my attention. It spoke of the Marked Ones, individuals chosen by beings from the demon world, destined to serve as conduits between realms. The book hinted that these chosen individuals were often unaware of their role until they reached a point of awakening, a moment of realization that would unlock their true potential. The idea intrigued and frightened me. Could I be one of these Marked Ones? The Watcher had said I was in danger, but it hadn't explained why. The thought that I might be destined for something beyond the ordinary was both exhilarating and terrifying. As I delved deeper into the book, I came across a ritual designed to awaken one's latent abilities and connect more fully with the supernatural world. The ritual required specific items: a mirror, a candle, and a piece of iron. It was to be performed at midnight under a full moon, with the participant staring into the mirror while reciting an incantation. The purpose was to reveal the truth of one's nature and destiny. I debated whether to attempt the ritual. Part of me was desperate for answers, but another part feared what I might discover. In the end, curiosity won out. On the night of the next full moon, I gathered the necessary items and prepared myself for the ritual. As midnight approached, I set up the mirror in my living room, placing the candle and the piece of iron beside it. The room was dark, save for the soft glow of the candlelight. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. The incantation was written in a language I didn't recognize, but I practiced it until the words felt natural on my tongue. With a final glance around the room, I began the ritual. I lit the candle and placed the piece of iron in front of the mirror. As I stared into my reflection, I recited the incantation, my voice steady but tinged with apprehension. The air around me seemed to grow colder, and the shadows in the room deepened. For a moment, nothing happened. I felt foolish, standing there, talking to a mirror. But then, the air seemed to shimmer, and my reflection began to change. The image in the mirror warped and twisted, taking on an otherworldly quality. My eyes glowed with a faint light, and a shadowy figure appeared behind me, barely visible in the dim light. I turned around, but there was nothing there. When I looked back at the mirror, the figure was still there, closer now, its features becoming clearer. It was humanoid but indistinct, its form constantly shifting as if made of smoke. Its eyes, however, were fixed on mine, burning with an intensity that made my heart race. Suddenly, the figure spoke, its voice a soft whisper that seemed to echo in my mind. "You are the Marked One," it said, "chosen to bridge the gap between worlds. Your journey has just begun." I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me, and the room spun. The figure in the mirror reached out, its hand passing through the glass as if it were water. I stumbled back, breaking eye contact, and the vision vanished. The mirror shattered. The candle flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. I sat on the floor, gasping for breath, my mind reeling from the experience. The words of the figure echoed in my mind. "You are the Marked One. The ritual had worked, and I had made contact with someone from the other side. But what did it mean? What was I supposed to do now? Over the next few days, I tried to make sense of what had happened. The figure had called me a marked one, a term I had seen in the book but didn't fully understand. I felt a strange new awareness, a heightened sensitivity to the world around me. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a hidden layer of reality. I began to notice things I had never seen before. Subtle shifts in the air, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, and shadows that moved on their own. It was disorienting at first, but I slowly learned to accept these experiences as part of my new reality. As I adjusted to this heightened perception, I realized that my role as a marked one came with responsibilities. The figure in the mirror had spoken of a journey, and I knew I couldn't turn back now. The silent watcher had set me on this path, and I had to see it through, whatever the cost. One night, as I was lying in bed, I heard a familiar tapping sound. My heart skipped a beat, but when I turned toward the window, there was no shadowy figure staring back at me. Instead, the tapping seemed to come from within my mind, a rhythmic pulse that resonated with a strange energy. I closed my eyes and focused on the sensation, letting it guide me. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, and I felt a pull as if something was calling me. I got out of bed and followed the sensation, which led me to the mirror in my living room. The glass had cracked during the ritual, but now it seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. As I stood before the mirror, the tapping stopped, replaced by a low hum. I felt a presence in the room, something ancient and powerful. The mirror's surface rippled, and the shadowy figure appeared once more, its eyes glowing with an ethereal light. "You have awakened," it said, its voice resonating with a deep, echoing quality. "Your journey has begun, and the path before you is fraught with danger. But fear not, for you are not alone." The figure reached out, and I felt a surge of energy pass through me. Images flashed before my eyes, visions of strange landscapes, ancient symbols, and shadowy beings. I saw myself standing before a great portal, a swirling vortex of darkness and light. "You are the key," the figure said, "the bridge between worlds. The balance must be maintained, and you must be prepared for what lies ahead." The vision faded, and the figure disappeared, leaving me standing alone in the darkness. The mirror returned to its normal state, and the hum faded away. I felt a sense of clarity, a newfound purpose that filled me with both excitement and dread. I knew now that my journey was just beginning. The silent watcher had marked me for a reason, and the path before me was one I could not avoid. I was a marked one, a bridge between worlds, and I had a duty to uphold. As I stared at my reflection in the shattered mirror, I made a silent vow. Whatever lay ahead, I would face it head-on, with courage and determination. The world I thought I knew was just a fraction of the greater reality, and it was time for me to embrace my destiny. To be continued in Part 3.